What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrub here, back again with a brand new video. Hope you guys are all having an absolutely incredible day. I know I am, and yeah, if you don't press the like button in the next 5 seconds, then no joke, no scam, I will drop off 25 garden gnomes at your house. Yeah, that's right. I actually talked to the king garden gnome himself, Keemstar, and we worked out a deal that if you press the like button, you will 100% get garden gnomes dropped off at your house. This is not a joke. Now, today's story is going to be from Reddit. I'm warning you all right now, but it's about a crazy neighbor, and I know that you guys love a crazy neighbor story just as much as anybody else. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. So, the other week, I was at my friend's dad's house, all right? And my friend's dad lives on this area where land is super steep, so all the driveways have to switch back and forth across, like, the mountain in order to get up the house. Basically, driveways that are straight are not an option because it's steeper than building codes allowed, and your car wouldn't stay. Like, your car would slide down your driveway. So most driveways in this neighborhood kind of have a lot of switchbacks and work around the steepness, right? So a few doors down the road lives this nice old couple who, until like about a year ago, had a vacant lot next door to them, all right? But the lot that was vacant had now sold, and the owner had started construction on their new house. Pretty cool, right? You know, these people that have had this empty lot next to them now get a neighbor. All the house values go up. Everybody's a winner, right? Nobody loses in this situation. So, you know, I've never built a house before, but I'm pretty sure they make it pretty obvious where your land ends and, like, your neighbor's land begins, right? So, the lot's so steep that the new owner, the guy who's building the new house next to these old people, decides that he's going to build his driveway on the couple's land. Basically, he takes an excavator and carves this entire hillside that the old couple owns to build his driveway, which, I mean, if he would have called and, like, asked, hey, can I buy this land from you to build my driveway? I don't want to build it anywhere else. It probably would have been fine. The old people weren't like super mad, but you know, if he had been nice, this wouldn't be a story, okay? No story ever opens with there was a guy that should have been nicer and then he apologized and that's the end, all right? Like, come on, everybody knows that if there's a story about it, the guy was probably a jerk. So the old couple is obviously understandably upset that somebody just carved up a bunch of their land and didn't say anything, but this old couple is super sweet and they go, well, you know, it was probably a mistake, it probably wasn't, you know, intentionally rude, and you know, they're being reasonable. So they went over to talk to the machine operator, and he didn't know anything because he's like, yo, I just show up here and get told where to dig, okay? I don't question things. Usually when people say put hole here, I'm not too pissed. But he gives him the phone number of the guy who's building the house. He says, hey, I have no idea. I just got paid to show up and dig a hole. That's what I gotta do. I have no idea about property disputes or whatever, but that's what I'm gonna do, all right? So later that night, the old guy's sitting there and he's like, hey, okay, I'm gonna call him and figure out what's going on. Obviously, he's not too happy about the situation, but he's not sure what to do. So he gives him a call, but his new neighbor, who he'd never even met, is having none of it. He flat out denies that the driveway crosses the property line, Ryan, all right? And he's rude enough that the old guy's upset. And keep in mind, this is the old guy who's taking the time out of his day to call you because you paid someone to dig a hole on his property. Like, the old guy does not have to be this nice, all right? I'm sorry. If I owned land and you just had the nerve to go, it's not my fault that your property got in the way of my driveway, I'm gonna be pissed. And they were trying to be cool about it, so now he's upset. At this point, the old couple doesn't know what to do, okay? These are old people. Like, they were in their late 80s, early 90s, like, old. These aren't the type of old people where, you know, they know how to work an iPhone. These are the old people that grew up in the Great Depression, all right? When they got electricity in their house, they were excited. It was something new and fangled that they hadn't seen before. So the fact that they're, like, getting yelled at by this young guy who just claims that they're liars definitely shook them up. And they're not really sure what to do. And they kind of are like, you know, let's double check the property lines. Let's make sure that they're right, you know, let's see what we can do. So they call out a land surveyor, which costs them a bunch of money just to make sure that they're right. They don't want to be wrong and cause all these problems just to end up being wrong, which is the right thing to do. So the property surveyor is like, no, you're right. And obviously it cost them a lot of money to have this guy come out here and check it. And they're like, wow, okay, so we're right. So now we need to figure out what we're going to do because it is our land. And if you own something, it's kind of yours. And if somebody comes in and starts coloring on it, you're going to get kind of pissed. So they try to call the guy again, the new owner, and he's having none of it. And he goes, no, you're lying. You're land surveyor. Like, you paid him off. You're trying to cheat me out of my land. And I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but if a 90-year-old man is calling you, hello, I paid out of my own pocket for this man to come double check just to make sure I wasn't wrong, and he says we're right, and you go, screw you, old man, you paid him off. Like, I'm sorry, but you're insane. And the guy's being unreasonable and just refuses to negotiate. Like, they're even saying, hey, maybe you can give us part of your land, maybe we could get part of your land, you know? Like, maybe we could work something out so that way not all of us are out of luck. You give us some of your land, we'll trade off. We don't even necessarily care about that land. Like, the old people are being so nice, way nicer than they ever should have been. Something you got to learn about bullies in life is that you don't give bullies what they want, because then they just keep coming back and asking for more. Like, if you're nice to somebody who's demanding, if you're nice to a Karen that asks to speak to your manager, I promise you that they're never going to go away. They're going to continue to be the absolute worst neighbors, because people like that who just don't care about what other people have going on in their life are selfish, and selfish people simply don't have the patience or time or understanding to be nice to people, even if you're being nice to them first. So they're trying to be nice to the guy, and he's having none of it, being just absolutely unreasonable to these two sweet old people that are really just trying to sit back, relax, and enjoy their retirement. So basically, the old couple doesn't want to take legal action, though, because it's going to be expensive and the damage is already done. You know, in the grand scheme of things, suing him is great. It's going to be expensive on both ends. They might get their money back, but the hillside already has the driveway built into it. So, well, I mean, the land's already destroyed. They don't have a use for it. What are they going to do with a second driveway that doesn't even go to their house? So they're like, suing him probably isn't the best way for us to go about getting revenge or payback or anything, because it's frustrating, you know? But at the same time, the old man, who is definitely old, had this principle. It was on principle, you know? He's like, I can't let another man walk all over me like that and steal from me. I've worked too hard in this life to get these things. And the fact that this guy was going to be their new neighbor made them realize that they needed to handle it now. Because if you cave into your neighbor now, what happens whenever you have like a loud 4th of July party? Is this guy going to have a panic attack and try to get it shut down? Is this guy going to keep stealing more land, you know? But the old man on principle says that we have to do something. We can't just let our land get taken and have nothing be done about it. Now, like I said, I'm at my friend's dad's house, and my friend's dad really liked this old couple because obviously they're nice people. They don't have a bad bone in their body. So that evening, we're kind of hanging out with his dad, sitting back, drinking, just doing whatever you got to do. And he starts thinking, he's like, you know, I think I want to come up with a way for these people to get revenge. Like, I want people to find a way to get these old people what they deserve, because I just feel like, you know, scamming these old people and taking their land is really messed up. And I just can't stand by and let that happen. I have to do something. I feel a moral obligation to make sure that these old people are okay, because he's a nice guy, and that's the right thing to do. You shouldn't let old people get scammed, all right? If you see someone robbing an old person, the best thing to do is to stop the person from robbing them, not just clap their hand and go, "Ayo, give me a cut of that old person bread," you know? Something tells me that Granny Smith's coin purse is definitely not worth the moral and karma that you're going to get from stealing from old people. So whatever, we're sitting there and we're trying to come up with a way for him to get revenge, and we finally come up with something, and he calls the old people and explains his plan, and he asks their permission to carry it out, you know? He doesn't want to do anything on their land without permission, because that's the right thing to do. Apparently their new neighbor didn't get the memo. That's why he kind of tried to steal their land, but regardless, the dad's being nice and is just kind of like, hey, is it okay if I go through with this? So they laugh and they're like, yeah, go for it. So we all hop outside and we get in this rusty full-size pickup truck that he keeps on the land just to do yard work and that type of stuff. So we drive to the old person's house, and then we park it across the driveway, making sure it's totally on their property. But we block the road of where they've been building this driveway. So the excavator can't get in, no workers can get in. Overall, the truck is now blocking the driveway, but it's on the old people's property, right? So the next morning, this work crew arrives bright and early to find that they can't drive to the house they're building because somebody parked a crappy old truck in the driveway. So they see the note in the window with my friend's dad's phone number on it, so they call and ask him, hey, why did you block the driveway? So he explains that he has permission from the owners to park there, and no, I would not move my truck, so they couldn't work. And furthermore, anybody who tries to tow the truck would be charged with trespassing and theft. And because it's totally on the old people's property line, which has now been re-verified, by the way, there's nothing they can do. Like, they can't move this truck out of the way, and they can't go build the house. There's literally, their arms are tied. There's not much they can do about it. So there's no way the construction guys are going to carry all their tools up the hill, so they basically didn't want to get in the middle of a legal battle, so they called the new owner who's building the house and let him know that they're taking the day off and that they'd continue to take days off until the property boundary dispute was resolved, because they don't want to get involved in a legal battle. They don't want to do any work on something that the guy doesn't own and then get called to the courtroom and have a lawyer be like, you built on land that's not yours. That does not look good for a construction company, you know? Imagine the headline. Construction company ends up stealing from from old people is this good? Obviously, that's not good, and obviously people would be pretty upset at all that. Like, nobody's gonna be stoked if you rob from old people. That's a pretty good way to lose business. I think most things in life are guaranteed. Some people obviously are weird, but for the most part, stealing from old people is universally bad. So the construction company basically says, we're done. And then a couple minutes later, the old people get a call from this young rich dude who's just acting like he owns the place, and he's screaming at them. He's saying that they're disrespectful, that they're rude, and how dare they interrupt his housing project. He has kids in da-da-da-da-da. And the old couple basically calmly says, hey, nothing we can do about it. We'll move the truck when it's not parked on our own property. And if you had a problem, good luck, because they're not helping him. They're not moving the truck until the boundary is clear. So, to make a long story short, alright, the new neighbor screams at them for a while and decides that he's going to take him to court. Can't find a lawyer because every lawyer he goes to simply says, dude, you're not going to win. Like, I'm sorry, you're trying to steal their land. It's not going to work. And eventually, he's kind of like, okay, well, I want my house to be built. So, the nice old couple ends up with a massive amount of money in exchange for allowing the driveway to cross through the corner of their property. And yeah, the old man obviously was pretty thankful to my dad. He got the money and gave a little chunk of it back to him in the form of a case of some drink that makes things better. And yeah, moral of the story is don't rob old people. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, press the like button. Let me know in the comment section down below what you thought. Today's notification shout out goes to the always incredible, always very kind, your narrator 123. Big shout out to you. Hope you guys all have an incredible day. Don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot, and hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video. And also, I want you guys to comment Coca-Cola if you make it this far. I just don't know how many people actually watch to like the end of the video. So yeah, comment Coca-Cola if you made it this far, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video. I'm out. Peace.